All right, here we go again. Eric Wynalda here. This is Unleashed, and it's that time again to discuss things that make people really uncomfortable, confused, or just angry. It seems to be the case. We'll get into the angry part in a little bit. People on X. Dude, just please listen, learn something, all right? I know you're in 4th grade. I already passed it, but I don't want to go back, okay? Sorry. Does that sound condescending? Maybe it's because it is. Knock it off. I'm done with you. All right, here we go. First things first. What are you doing?
I was just taking video.
Oh, okay, all right. First things first. Congratulations to the USL. Alec Papadakis and his crew, Paul McDonough, I'm not forgetting you either, have decided that they were going to make a big announcement. And the announcement is that they are going to change things up. And it looks like that they're going to go to the traditional calendar, as well as entertain the idea of that thing, promotion and relegation, which I'm going to have to explain today since nobody in America seems to get it. It's not that complex. Okay? But here's a little clue for you. When you read the article in The Guardian, great job, guys. It was a great read, and you did a really good job of explaining it. But when you read that little bit in the article that says this will commence in the year 2027-28, there's your indicator. There it is. If they say 27, 28, what they're saying is they're going to the traditional calendar. If they were going to stay on this stupid-ass calendar that we currently exist on, they just would have said 2027. Mind-blowing stuff. Come on, man. Think. Just come along for the ride. Engage. Listen. And then maybe we'll get somewhere. Now, first things first, and when it comes to explaining what exactly currently exists and what we are trying to accomplish. Just keep in mind that this is all of it is about creating compelling television. That's it. Let me give you a little history lesson just so you're totally up to speed and how we got here, because this is kind of a neat story. In the year 2001, Philip Anschutz, God bless you, we love you, Uncle Phil, pretty much saved this league, invited all of the owners, all 10 of them, out to his ranch in Colorado, and they had a big meeting, and the meeting was essentially, are we going to just shut down? Are we going to cease to exist, or are we going to continue? 10 people came, 3 people stayed. Bob Kraft, Lamar Hunt, and Philip Anschutz. They bought up the entire league. I think if you're a real soccer fan, you didn't just show up yesterday, you might remember this stuff. This is the year of contraction. We got rid of the Florida teams, the Tampa Bay and the Miami Confusion went away. We call them the Confusion because it was the Fusion, but they were in Fort Lauderdale. They were never in Miami. Anyway, that's a different story. Go down to 10 teams and we built from there, okay? Now, in that process, what happened in that meeting is Philip Anschutz, being as wise as he is, you don't become a billionaire unless you're figuring some stuff out. And by the way, we have a bunch of billionaires just like Phil who own teams in Major League Soccer. It's called progress. Phil basically took a look at the model and said, what do we do? Why is nobody watching our product? Why is nobody watching Major League Soccer? Well, a couple of things. We know about the history of this stuff. We know that the NFL guys basically wanted to create a scenario where they could own the property of Major League Soccer. They were impressed with what happened in 1994 in their stadiums and said, how do we get involved with this stuff? So they started in April and they finished in October, but no one was going to watch Major League Soccer playoffs, final, whatever, in bad weather up against the sports that everyone's watching. That's going to be college football. That's going to be baseball at its best. And of course, the NFL has commenced. So your back page news. Essentially, what they decided to do is create a company called Soccer United Marketing. Maybe you've heard of it before. Maybe you haven't. Maybe this is part of the history lesson. Some essentially became the oversight committee for Major League Soccer. And what they did is they said, we need to own something that forces the issue so we can offset the losses of Major League Soccer. What that meant was, let's buy the rights to a World Cup. Let's put that on a network and then bundle it with Major League Soccer. So when this thing started in 1996, Major League Soccer was paying to be on ESPN. They were actually paying them. When I got my checks, because I was one of the commentators, it didn't say Major League Soccer, it said Soccer United Marketing. Now, Soccer United Marketing was essentially the ones funding all of this. They also bought up the rights to the Mexican national team, and they made quite a handsome profit off of that, by the way, probably tenfold of what they paid for the rights. But they exploited the Mexican national team in our country, in our stadium, and they made out like bandits. But all of that money offset the losses that the new ownership groups that were coming into the league were going to now incur. Okay, got it? There's your history lesson. Problem is that we still don't have compelling television. Compelling television means what? All right, in this country, let's just give you the breakdown. When you look at the NFL or you look at Major League Baseball, it's a circle. It's not a pyramid. When we talk about soccer in this country, we're always talking about the soccer pyramid. The soccer a pyramid, doesn't exist in other sports. The NFL is the end-all be-all of the sport in the world. That's why they call it the Super Bowl. That's why they call it the World Series. And that's why they call you world champions if you happen to win the NHL or the NBA. It's a circle, it's a bubble, and you're not in it. There might be a lot of sticks coming out of it with little circles. Those are called AAA baseball, but they're not inside the bubble until they're inside the bubble. They don't feed each other. They're just a different way of doing things. Now, the pyramid, which exists in every other country in the world outside of ours, essentially is based on one thing and one thing only. It just happens to create compelling television, but it's called sporting merit. Sporting merit is actually a forced system that disallows ownership groups to just say, you know what, I own this thing because I like it. I'm gonna hire all my nephews and maybe a couple of my kids, and hey, I'll give you a job. Doesn't matter if we come in last. We've always got next year. No. That doesn't happen in our country. Well, it does happen in our country, but what does happen in the rest of the world is there's this pyramid where you have the ability through sporting merit to earn the right to play at the highest level. And if you fail to get your business right, you drop. You drop down to the second division until you get it right. So all these folks that are saying, well, Major League Soccer will never have promotion relegation, is because they piled a bunch of money into this thing and they just don't want to fail, and they don't really want to have to work very hard to make the soccer better. They just want to stay right where they are. They felt they're entitled because they bought the right to be a part of the big show. Well, promotion relegation, which is exactly what the USL is about to employ, changes that, doesn't it? The other problem with this pyramid is that US Soccer has been forced to give USL Division 1 status. Division 1 status means that pyramid now has 2 points at the top. It's up to you to figure out which one you like more, but right now the compelling television and or the viewership would tell us that more people watched the USL final in December up against a big football game, a college game, than watched the actual final for Major League Soccer. What does that tell us? It tells us that there is a soccer market out there. There is people watching. What happens now when we create a scenario where teams from the second division through sporting merit can earn the right to play against the big guys? Let me remind you of a couple things. The most watched sporting event in the UK on an annual basis, everybody wagers on it and everybody watches. And it is the most compelling television that has ever been in the UK, and that is the promotion game. Which team is going to make it to the EPL to be a part of the show? More people watch it than any other game, including the EPL Championship game, which is the end of the season. Does that astonish you? Maybe it should. I don't know. The other big one is when the Bundesliga decides who's going to be going up from the second division to the first division. And the way that they do it is 2 teams stay in up top or go down, and then 1 team has to play for it. 2 teams didn't figure it out, so you're going down, but 1 team has to play for it. 3 teams in the second division, 2 teams go up automatically, and then 1 team gets to play against the first division team. Again, decided on sporting merit. Who deserves to be in this league, not who has the most money. Which person, which company figured out a way for their business model to work. It's called accountability. Get your business right, and you deserve to stay in. Hire the right people. Get the right coach. Not somebody's uncle that you owe a favor to. Get the right guy or woman in there to make sure that your team is successful. And if you fail, there are ramifications for that. Now, places like Italy, places like Spain, England, you get a parachute package, which if you do fail, they don't just let you drown. They give you a little bit of money, that you participate in the television rights, and you actually continue your business. Even though you have failed, you have the opportunity to rebuild and come right back up. Now, I just mentioned something that maybe you may have caught that, or maybe you didn't. The television rights. The television rights don't exist just yet in the United States because it's still a product that's bundled to the bigger events, which is what we do in the United States. And there's not enough there to really make sense. The Apple deal is what it is, but ask yourself this: why is Apple or Major League Soccer now going back to the networks and putting 20, 21, 22 games back on the network? If Apple was so great, why are they doing that? Because they can't prove the numbers, and now all of the sponsors are complaining about eyeballs. The only way to get eyeballs is through the networks. That's the way they do it in the rest of the world, and those packages, which are put together in the collective bargaining agreement, always filter back to the team. So there is a business within. You stay in the league, you make enough money to reinvest. You are rewarded for your good business, and you are given a severance package, if you will, if you screw it up. But that severance package will allow you to, maybe next year, you'll figure this out, that if you want to be a part of the big show, get your business right, do it on sporting merit, create compelling television, and be a part of the show because you deserve it, not because you bought it.